Listen to your body. The secrets to getting your needs met. By Huang, Ph.D. at Lifelong Energy. When you experience physical or emotional pain or discomfort or that gut feeling that something isn't quite right, what do you do with that information? Do you honor it or do you run away from it? Welcome. I'm Dr. Tina Huang at Lifelong Energy. I have my Ph.D. in neuroscience and I'm a holistic healer for a happy and healthy brain. And today, I'm going to be talking about the importance of listening to those internal signals, their impact on your physical and emotional health, and how listening to them could substantially improve your and even save your life. And at the end, I'll share a simple technique to get out of your brain and into your heart. Now, for most of us, our Western and modern day life encourages us to stay in our brains and out of our hearts. We've got things to do, places to go, people to see, and money to make. And it's expected of us, and it's what our peers are doing. But with all the stimulation, the noise, the technology, the busyness, the thirst for excitement and thrill, are we losing touch with our inner signals? Our ability to connect with our deepest needs? Or our inherent wisdom? There are consequences of ignoring our bodies, personal ones, such as that we can lose touch with what gives us the most joy and miss out on deep levels of connectivity with others. We can develop a greater tendency to ignore emotional and physical pain and thus be less able to take care of our own needs as they arise. We have a greater tendency to escape our problems with addictions, and then we wonder why our relationships didn't work out or why we don't feel fulfilled. Or we might wish we'd taken better care of ourselves before our health spiraled out of control. And there are global consequences as well. As we become less sensitive to our needs, we lose sensitivity to the needs of others. We tolerate more violence, more abuse, and more war. We lack compassion for those in need, for animals and for Mother Nature. And we think less about the effects of our actions on our environment and our future. I'd like to elaborate more on the importance of listening to our body as it pertains to our health. But first I need to talk about the underlying causes of disease. Disease is an accumulation of lifelong and inherited risk factors. Let's use the analogy of an iceberg, shall we? Above the water is your conscious awareness of the problem, manifesting in symptoms, disease, and diagnosis. Below the water are your risk factors or underlying causes, many of which are subconscious. Do you think that the larger the iceberg is underneath the water, the larger the visible portion will be? The more risk factors you have accumulated in the invisible portion, the greater number and severity of symptoms, and the harder it is to reverse. Why? Because for problems in chronic health, there's no one quick solution. The problem is that it's very difficult and sometimes impossible to stop a lifelong accumulation of bad habits or the environment quickly enough to stop that trajectory of decline. Let's use the analogy of a landslide. If a hillside soil is healthy and there's plenty of things growing, then the roots are going to help to anchor the soil in. So imagine throwing a small rock down a mountain. The rock is either going to have something to bump into, the roots and the trees, or it's going to keep going until it reaches the bottom, but it's rarely going to have much of an impact. But imagine now that the hillside is eroded. It will pick up more rocks, more sand, mud, or even a boulder, and it could have disastrous consequences. Now let's imagine this in terms of your health. Imagine you're accumulating risk factors due to stress, our environment, our habits, and they're slowly damaging our body bit by bit. Then add aging to the mix or inherited effects. You could have too many that you haven't paid attention to, and your problems could landslide. Let me elaborate with some contrasting stories. I have a client that's not sensitive to his own needs. He tore a tendon in his boot, and for 2 years, he was in a boot for 2 years because he didn't take care of it when it began, and the tear increased in size. And now he has to do surgery because a slight injury that wasn't addressed became a bigger issue. Contrast this with I fell and twisted my ankle in a step class a few years ago. I needed crutches on that first day, but with my immediate and persistent use of products and techniques that accelerate recovery, I was teaching group exercise again in eight days, and I've not had problems since with that ankle. I have another client who's a workaholic and didn't take care of her body for years and used caffeine to get the minimal amounts of sleep in order to get work done. Well, unfortunately, as early in her 30s, she started having concentration and brain fog issues. Now, luckily, she came to see me about the brain fog, and I cleared it within 3 sessions. But what if she'd been given drugs that disguised the symptoms and didn't take care of the underlying problem? Chances are high that she could have had early cognitive decline, which could have compromised her ability to support herself. Another benefit is that incredible wisdom and compassion can be developed just from tuning into the needs of the body. The Dama Brothers is a documentary about hardened prisoners on death row in Alabama who invited a teacher to come teach them Vipassana meditation. In the movie, you can learn about their transformation from hardened criminals to gentle souls. In Thailand, it's common for young men to join the monastery and live the life as a monk for a few months. Common rumor among the ladies is that the men who've been monks make better husbands. Research in meditation also shows that it increases presence, compassion, emotional resiliency, regulation, and wisdom. Now, sometimes we can get a gut feeling about something or a situation or a person, and while we can't exactly pinpoint why, we know we need to stay away. Listening to those instincts could save your life. My friend arrived in New York City on the red eye and was taking the subway to get to his brother's house. And after exiting the subway and walking up the stairs to the mid-level platform, he came upon an exit sign that would lead him to the stairs up to the street. But as he was turning towards it, he decided that he would look for another exit much farther away, not really knowing why. So after exiting this other flight of stairs to the street, he turned back and looked at the exit he chose not to take and saw 4 men hiding with bats at the top of the stairs, ready to attack the next person who took that exit. I recently also heard a story of someone standing at the bottom of the cliff of Yosemite, and after seeing 1 carrot stick fall, thanks to the shenanigans of a few celebrating climbers, decided to move. And a few seconds later, a boulder dislodged from the cliff and fell right where he'd been standing. So how do we get out of our heads and into our bodies? Well, next time you feel pain or a negative emotion, I invite you to close your eyes and to take some deep, even breaths and just to feel it. Locate where you feel it in your body. Describe it to yourself as thoroughly as you can. Stay with the emotion and give it the attention it's asking for. If the pain moves, observe it as it travels. Sometimes you'll find that it'll just disappear. Otherwise, ask your body, what is it needing from you right now? Respect your body for the wisdom it is offering you. It will often tell you what you need. Listen to your body. It's trying to tell you something important. It could save you from a lot of pain, help you discover what you want, and even save your life. If you like what you've heard, be sure to share it with your friends. And if you're interested in hearing more, sign up for my top 10 tips for a happy and healthy brain at lifelongenerjoy.com. You'll get my latest blog entries, videos, tips, and special offerings available exclusively to subscribers only. Thank you for listening and wishing you lifelong energy and everlasting joy.